Here we go. Main stereo. Are we back? Are we live? Are we live? Can you guys hear us? All right. So we are having the worst technical difficulty today. I will say that some of the Giants practices have been sloppy. This is my sloppiest day. Right? It got rain out here. We had barbecue. I missed the last period, 10 minutes of practice, thinking it was over to get out here for the barbecue. Novo's sick. But we got Nick Falato with us, dude. Thanks for jumping on with me. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, I really appreciate it as well. Always love talking shop with you.
Yeah, so you're down on the field, and they run the far field, so you got a much better view to me. And it's day 8, and people, I think, are less and less interested in just daily this happened recap, which we're gonna do. But I actually kind of want to get some of your thoughts just on the training camp so far from what you've seen. But I didn't get stats or anything like I usually take advantage of. What do you think so far? Like, what's been your biggest takeaway? I guess we could start with today. Abdul Carter just continues to be a freak. You saw the one-on-ones. I did as well. And it's a little unfair when they match up on the interior guys in one-on-one sets, but it's just I'm ready to make so many declarations on this guy. Like, he was the guy I wanted throughout the draft process outside of Cam Ward, and I just feel like we've got a day one a star on our hand.
I do as well, and the comparisons to Micah Parsons are lofty, but I can see a reality where that actually comes true.
Right.
When you look at the one-on-ones, you said it's unfair to put them up against the interior guys. I think it's unfair in one-on-ones just in general. You used to play offensive line, those drills suck for the offensive lineman. It's very difficult, but still, the way this individual bends in his overall explosiveness and what he can do and how he has counter moves and how he sets guys up, he's a precocious individual when it comes to rushing the passer. This isn't just like an athletic freak. He also has the mind to rush the passer, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so damn excited to watch him attack some of these NFC East offensive tackles all throughout the season.
Dude, he's just got he is just and you're talking about a guy who is actually a second year playing the position. He's so advanced. Even timing up the snap. You don't see Burns is a really good player. Kayvon is a nice pass rusher. But you see him, it's hey, you know how I could get an advantage? The way TJ Watt can get an advantage at times. So I'm gonna try and time up the snap, right? I'm gonna study that. And you see him out there in practice. Now he'll get bit a time or two, throughout these practice. He's timing up the snap, that natural feel to counter when something's not there. Yeah, is there going to be plays here or there where offensive lineman gets his hands on him, and the length kind of swallows him up, and he's not the strongest guy? But it's just, I feel like he's just a nightmare to prepare for if you're an offensive lineman, because it's just he's got so many options on every moment, and then you could just move him inside too.
Oh, there's so much you can do with him, and the simulated pressures that Shane Bowen runs. A guy like Abdul Carter fits in so perfectly with that because he's so fluid in space, which we also saw at Penn State for his first 2 years when he was playing a linebacker. He can flip his hips. He can carry if you need him to. Obviously, the most ideal usage for a player like this is to have him pin his ears back and go and get the quarterback. But you have at least the luxury and the flexibility to utilize his skill set in a variety of different ways that can allow the rest of the defensive line to feast. And the Giants have a bunch of monsters on that defensive line.
And I don't even want him playing any stack linebacker or very little. There's going to be, when you put him in the A gap, you're going to have him drop back a few times just to keep defenses honest or offensive lines honest with their protection. But even when he is I think I've noticed him at just regular linebacker twice. And one, he undercuts a wide receiver crack block for a tackle at the line of scrimmage. And then the other one was the run was away from him, and little Jordan Humphrey goes to block him, and he just puts him on his ass. So even when he is there, which I don't want him playing there a ton, he's able to show off what he's able to do. But today was just, he's dominated one-on-ones, but today was just unfair the way he was beating guys.
Yeah, that John Runyon rep, I put it up on Twitter at Nick Falato.
Yeah, go follow. We tagged you in the video, so go make sure you go follow Nick.
Shameless plug. But the inside spin, you saw, I saw Runyon's face afterwards. He's just holy shit, man. How am I supposed to be able to block that? He stays so controlled and recollects his balance so well whenever he spins. It's we could sing his praise, which is crazy too, because the Giants also drafted a first-round quarterback, and we have Abdul Carter. So if Jackson Dart can just hit even slightly this draft, it's an absolute home run.
Yeah. So, and it's just easy with Carl. I put your Twitter in there, and again, thank you big time to you. Because Nova was sick. I mean, I was going to be willing to do solo, and you're like, hey, I'm at practice. I was like, hey, would you want to do the stream after practice? And you said yes immediately. So kind of, got two birds stoned at once. What have you thought of Dart? His progression today was, there was some nice throws, nothing crazy, but the first 3 days were pretty rough, and it seems like he hasn't had like these terrible. He hasn't had like a terrible day or even like a bad day since.
No, it doesn't seem like. Yeah, I mean, his first pass was a pick six, and people were freaking out. That kind of stuff is going to happen. I'm talking about back in the first training camp practice. Today, he had the one touchdown, a little Jordan Humphrey on. I think it ended up being a free play. If I'm not mistaken.
It was the Carter offsides trying to time up the snap,
and he did a good job maneuvering the pocket, then running down the line of scrimmage and put enough touch over top of the linebackers to find little Jordan Humphrey for the touchdown. It still seems like he's a rookie to me, though, out there, which it should not be a surprise whatsoever.
Yeah, well, and he also, we're not talking about a guy who's getting ready to play week one. He's getting ready to, try and make himself an NFL quarterback too.
When he was in the 2-minute drill before Dable nixed the 2-minute drill with Jackson Dart specifically, he found Fedone on an out route, quickly got to the line of scrimmage, and then hit Daniel Bellinger, I think, for like a 12-yard seam ball before spiking the football and then finding Cambry on 2 consecutive plays.
Yeah, you were closer. What happened? Because he found Cambry on that corner, and the clock said 2, and then Dable ended the drill. Do you know what happened?
I don't know what happened. No,
maybe they just had a different clock than what was on the scoreboard or something.
Jameis go in there, and then Jameis Winston hit that hole shot or whatever the hell that was. It was a sideline. Yeah. All the players were blocking, so I couldn't exactly see what it was. I just saw a bunch of people celebrating, and I was like,
I almost want Jameis Winston as a 2-minute drill quarterback, because he takes the throws that are necessary. Not to say that he's going to hit them all, and he may turn an interception, but he just at least takes the throws necessary.
He's never met a window, Bobby, that he does not want to challenge this guy.
Yeah, because today they did 2-minute drills with, I don't think Tommy may have got one, but with Russ, Dart, and then Jameis. Russ kind of was off and on. He had a sack when it kind of ended it, and then threw an interception to Tyler Nubin, which, good job on Nubin catching it, but it was a Hail Mary from the 30-yard line or whatever it was. Dart, like you said, you had that sequence where he wasted a lot of time getting up to the line on one play, and I think that's what killed that 2-minute drill, and that's obviously a learning moment for him, but he had some nice throws. And then Jameis, it was like hole shot, seam, or I can't remember exactly what it was, and then just went towards the end zone 3 straight times, and then they kicked the field goal.
Was it Jameis that hit Pascal on the one where it was a little bit behind and Pascal plucked it, and then I think that was...
And then he hit another one, Jordan Bly. He hit him in the numbers, in the back, and Jordan Bly just didn't turn his head, didn't turn around for it, but he literally hit Jordan Bly like 20 yards down the field in his back between the numbers. So
I want to say there were 2 other passes by Jameis, because if you look at his completion percentage, it was bad in this practice, but there were 2 drops where it was a tight window. He put the football there, and then the UDFA defensive back was able to knock it away. But if it was Malik Neighbors or a quality wide receiver, it would have been a secure catch.
Let's talk about Malik Neighbors too, because today they had that touchdown at the end of practice against Paulson Adebo, where he's running an out route, which is, if you can run that well in the red zone, that's a touchdown score. Yeah. That's a turn of drive into 3 points into 7. He even stumbles out of his break. The ball's a little bit behind him, and he just easily plucks it. He had that touchdown on the vertical early in practice. He has been just automatic for Russell Wilson, and Wilson hasn't really used the secondary receivers of Slayton and Wandale a ton. But whenever he throws to Neighbors, it seems like it's simply automatic. I don't feel like there's, I would like to go back and practice and count what his hit rate is on Neighbors throws. Even throws that aren't great. Neighbors isn't completely open. He just seems to be automatic in this camp.
Yeah, throws over the middle of the field too. And if I'm not mistaken, on that outside breaking route, was Malik Neighbors a free access, the only receiver on that, with 3 wide receivers on the other side? I can't exactly remember.
I was, again, far away, and I got the clip afterwards where it's like you said, I just have that route.
But either way, it's Russell Wilson trusts whenever he has Malik Neighbors free access. And what I mean by free access is he's on that one side of the field by himself. It's a one-on-one matchup, and based on the leverage that the defender is playing, Malik Neighbors is going to run a specific route that Russell Wilson will read the leverage and understand which route he is going to run. And Neighbors sets those up so well, on the out route specifically. It's if Paulson Adebo is going to give you that out, if he's going to slide inside leverage a little bit, you're just going to take that out. And the explosiveness of a guy like Malik Neighbors is going to be able to win that 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, he's just been incredible. Is there anything else that is standing out big time with you, whether it's Russ, Dart, the bigger names that is standing out from you either today? It could just be today or training camp as a whole.
Training camp as a whole, this was only my 2nd time here at practice, so I probably shouldn't say that I have like one opinion or strong opinion, since I did miss a lot of those practices and I'm relying on guys like you and other people who have boots on the deck for every single practice. But it does seem like there's a different energy here. And I know that's kind of cliche and we hear a lot about it. But Russell Wilson definitely seems to have a certain command of the offense. And I see Jackson Dart even like sometimes making checks at the line of scrimmage, which is exciting. There seems to be a certain level of freedom that some of these quarterbacks have to check out of a play. I'm not sure if, I mean, you could say it's because of the last quarterback, but also we have a different play caller here. There might be a little bit of flexibility with Mike Kafka that wasn't there with Brian Daboll. I'm honestly unsure, and this is conjecture, but there does seem to be a certain energy here that I appreciate, and I hope it carries into the season.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like any, I don't think we have like Phil Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger either, like just command of the line of, changing everything. But like you said, they are consistent. Like, all right, check into a run against this, or maybe it's where there's times where you'll have kind of like two play calls where it's like, if we get this look, we're gonna run power, or man, and if we get this look, we're gonna run that play action post over or something like that. So, that's Russ, like you said, has had that command of the offense. He's pretty consistent on a daily basis of what he is, where it's like he's hitting Neighbors. He gets to his checkdowns a lot when Neighbors isn't there. But it's just been like consistent what he is, and not these like big glaring mistakes. He's pretty consistent every day.
That would be probably the best word for a guy like Russell Wilson at this point, is just consistency. And that's all we've wanted for years now at this point, was a consistent quarterback, somebody who could not suffer these negative plays, to keep the offense on script, to give the offense 3rd and 4 opportunities that can actually be executed well, to allow, like, again, I say this a lot on Big Blue Banter podcast, Dan Schneier and myself host. We just want the Giants to we just want the Giants pass rush to be able to rush the passer in the 4th quarter instead of just defending the run the entire time. If the offense can allow the Giants defense to do that, this Giants defense can be the most important part of this team and help lead this team to hopefully some quality victories.
What do you think of the interior defensive tackle group as a whole? Dexter Lawrence has essentially not been practicing. Like you said, to get them in those situations, you got to be playing with a lead or close to a lead. If there's a biggest worry, if there's something that I had worries coming into camp, there's 2 things. One, that Banks hasn't made the improvements that we've asked for to be an advantage. But even greater so is that this run defense has been bad every year under Joe Shane. And it feels like we're heading for a 4th year where this defense is going to be able to take advantage of on the ground, where the only teams that don't get it are the teams that just like for example, last year when the defense was, 9th or 10th or whatever, and we were going into that Eagles game, I was like, I'm a little worried that we just played the Cowboys, the Bengals, and there was like 2 other teams that they were and the Seahawks, where it's like these teams are bad at running the ball and they don't like to run the ball. We're starting to face some teams that do like that, and that's where the Giants obviously really struggled as down the stretch.
Yeah, and Shane Bowen had to change the defense last year too once Dexter Lawrence got hurt.
It was actually better run defense when Dexter Lawrence got hurt, because they went so heavy. I mean,
so heavy.
That Saints game, everyone's like, the Saints are just going to run it, and they just went crazy. The linebackers getting hit downhill, run blitzes, blitzing Trey Hawkins off from corner.
Never giving a favorable run box, just ensuring that you're not going to have Alvin Kamara and then Derrick Henry when the Giants played the Ravens defeat you. And I mean, it led to some passing. Lamar Jackson threw for 5 touchdowns against the Giants. Like he threw all over the New York Giants. But I'm concerned about both of those factors. Really,
Who do you think is that second guy at the defensive tackle group?
I hope Darius Alexander can rise, or Roy Robertson-Harris. But I don't really have somebody that I'm confident in at this point. I think it could be a rotation where you see guys like Nacho, Ledbetter, and players like that work into the rotation. But right now, I don't have one who has really stood up and seized the day.
Yeah, I've grown to be very frustrated with Roy Robertson-Harris. Because I mean, he's a lighter guy too, and he doesn't give you the pass rush juice that you think. Like he kind of, the player he reminds me of, and there was a similar liking by this coaching staff, was Ryder Anderson.
Yeah,
where it's like, he's got, he's tall, he's got size, a little underweight. They give him some edge snaps here or there, but in the run game, man, you could just pin him down. And I feel like that's been Roy Robertson-Harris, but he's been the number 1 guy outside of Dexter Lawrence. and they're even putting Elijah Chapman in on these 3 defensive lineman sets on their odd fronts, which that just feels like when are we going to be in a situation where we're doing that? Where I would like that rotation be when Alexander's ready. Alexander, like you said, being the guy. It doesn't seem like he's ready right now, coming back from that whatever injury he had in OTAs. He's it seems like he's coming along a little slow. But I would almost solely go to Ledbetter and Nacho. And not to say that those guys are world beaters, but they're at least better run defenders. And you have so much pass rush juice outside of that I feel like we don't even need that pass rush juice from that second defensive tackle spot.
No, we don't. For me, it's just can you set up 3rd and longs enough? Can you stop the run enough to allow Shane Bowen to play these 2 high shells? Or are you going to have to get even or even have an advantage in the box defensively consistently to stop the run and to force punts? Like the spine of the defense is my big concern. And then again, and this has nothing to do with the spine, which is another reason why I'm a little concerned about this defense overall, even though there's so much potential with this pass rush. It is Tay Banks, like you brought up. Tay Banks can't find the football. He could stick with you. He could be in your hip pocket, but when that ball is in the air, Bobby, he can't locate the damn thing. And that's a big problem that we've seen crop up multiple times. It was a problem for him back at Maryland, and he has not gotten any better whatsoever through 2 seasons plus.
No, and I was hoping that he could become like an Adoree Jackson level player, where when we signed Adoree Jackson, he was, covering wide receiver 2s in that corner 2 role. I mean, he had elite numbers, but Jackson was never really someone who got his hands on the football. Jackson was more not so much ball skills, but he would just drop the balls that would, come in, into his chest. With Banks, it's just he lacks that awareness. The play the other day to Bo Collins where it's a clear sack by Brian Burns, and so Russ just throws it up, and Bo Collins is like almost turning around to catch it like a punt, and Banks is just mugging him instead of turning around. And I just don't think he's ever going to get that natural feel for that. So that's my worry. But like even like the defensive tackle group, like I said, like their worry, they make it so much harder for Bobby Okereke and Micah McFadden to do their job. Like a part of being a great linebacker is having some guys in front of you that can keep you clean. And I just feel like they have Dex who can clearly do that. And maybe I'm going too harshly because Dex isn't out here playing. But I just feel like it's going to be really hard to keep those guys clean with the defensive tackle group they have, and we'll be less happy with Okereke and McFadden in turn.
I think that's one reason why Okereke had his step back year. It wasn't just the injuries. It wasn't just natural regression. It was he did not play with Wink Martindale's defense, or he did not have Leonard Williams in front of him.
Yeah, or even Ashawn, who was really good for them that year.
Yes.
So also he didn't have body armor. And this reaction is brought to you by Body Armor Sports Drink. Rewrite your routine and choose better with Body Armor. Body Armor is real hydration with electrolytes, coconut water, and no artificial dyes, flavors, or sweeteners. With great tasting flavors like strawberry banana and orange mango. Also, we got the yellow tropical punch. I think that's the first time we've had this one on the bus. Body Armor will level up your hydration game. Grab Body Armor Sports Drink today at your local grocery store. Body Armor. Choose better. You'll be glad you did. Thank you to Body Armor. So, gonna get to some questions in a few minutes because again, this is the only day Falato will be on, and I want to actually start getting your questions in. So let's clean up some things on practice today. D. Williams 2 interceptions,
one-handed snag, baby. Did you see that?
I know that was nice. So DeVito, I don't know what happened with DeVito on that one, but it's still like sometimes especially last year with the Giants, they didn't get in any interceptions. And sometimes it's just taking advantage of the terrible throw, and that's why I'm not the biggest Dane Belton fan, but I'll at least give him credit. It's like he takes advantage of the bad throws that quarterbacks make, and that was nice by D. Williams. And then Belton today, like the exact same thing today. It looked like they were trying to work some type of like double move. I couldn't see exactly, but it looked like they were working like a double move where the outside receiver had like a sit and and then Wandale in the flat, and then he turned it into a wheel. Yeah. And predetermined, and Belton just kind of smoked it out and had that interception.
I think earlier in practice, they tried to run a similar play concept from a different formation where Wandale was running that flag route, but he turned it into a wheel, and the play got called dead because it was either a false start or an offsides. But I'm wondering if Belton used what he saw and understood that concept was coming, because he was just baiting it the entire time. And Tay Banks wasn't in position to make a play on the football. I'm guessing that's what Russ read, and then he just tried to loft it over, and Belton that happened right in front of me. Belton just undercut it and then took it. Would have probably went to the house.
Yeah, yeah. So there's that. Again, Tyler Newman had the interception on the Hail Mary. Marcus Page also had an interception too, or they might have called it dead or whatever by Jameis. Let's see. Let me do. So Neighbors had the 2 touchdowns. Wandale actually had a 10, 15-yard touchdown from Russ.
I don't know if they called that one a touchdown though. I think they called.
He
it
was very close
incomplete.
out of bounds. Did they call it out of bounds?
I was on the far side from where I was, but he looked pissed, and the defenders were celebrating. So.
Okay, all right. So let me not mark that one down. So let me ask you one more question, and then we'll go to the chat.
Dope.
What do you think about Paulson Adebo right now? Because Adebo was always someone who gives up yards. That's not my worry. And he's coming as training camp, and you're not really game planning or anything. And Adebo is a game plan player, right? He doesn't just go out there and just mug receivers and then get interceptions. It's playing within the system and taking chances. But I would like to see him get his hands on the football a little bit more. I'm not asking him to, shut down Malik Neighbors or even shut down Slayton, but I would like to see him get his hands on the football a little more.
I think that's fair to ask, but overall, I'm excited that Paulson Adebo is here because if Paulson Adebo wasn't here, what are we looking at from a corner?
Yeah, I'm not any worried about him. With like I might be some other guys, but I just would like to see him get his hands on the ball. I'm going to put your channel in the chat as well too. Make sure to go
thanks, guys.
Subscribe. And then we're going to get to your questions here. And
also, do we know what happened with Cam Skadabu? Because I know he left practice. I'm wondering if it's something.
Yeah.
I think Duggan said it might have been a hamstring, but he's speculating.
Which is worrisome because, those hamstrings seem to bother their guys throughout the whole season when they get them.
Exactly. To your run defense point, though, and I know Dex didn't play many team snaps, but that first team, they were like Tyrone Tracy had 2 or 3 really nice runs. And it's hard to really tell because I'm looking and I'm like, would he have been tackled in the hole? Because these defenders, like Brian Burns said after practice a couple of days ago, it's like we're not hitting and driving you to the deck. We're tapping you on the hip and then letting you go. And some of these guys will take luxuries with that. These offensive guys and try to get into the end zone.
Yeah, and I try to be very aware of they are not tackling, so not every run where the running back ends up 15. It's not, but it's just when today I didn't do any video, but usually take video, and whenever it's a run play, I'll go back and rewatch it and put it in slow motion between plays. And I'm like, man, these defensive tackles are just getting pinned down consistently, and it's killing the linebackers because they're not able to make plays, and it's leading to chunk plays here and there.
So to that point, what's been your overall opinion? And I'm sure you've said this to your audience, but I missed it. What's your overall opinion of Evan Neal working inside?
Okay, this is a good one, and I'm putting your chat in because this Kelvin says, "Isn't that the guy from Big Blue Banter?"
It is.
When they really started running the ball those 2 days, and it was just duo, inside zone. It's like, okay, Neal's kind of good, and one-on-ones. This weak defensive tackle group, he was getting his hands on guys and controlling them. He even had that one-on-one where Carter worked the spin, and he kind of just played the piano on his back and held that one. We've seen the last 2 days is they've just done regular football, not an emphasis on one thing or the other. In these drills, you've seen him struggle in space. Today, he got killed on a stunt and ended up stumbling. In the run game, you saw them run. I think it was that QB bash thing where they pull the guard and the tackle, and Azudu's just waiting, and then Neal stumbles. It's outside zone on the backside, and he's not able to reach, and that Nacho's making a play in the backfield. So I think he's piqued my interest a lot more than what I thought because I was just curious to see what he'd look at guard. Where I think he is the first backup though now, where I wasn't even ready to say that before camp.
Yeah, I mean,
what do you think?
I think the Giants want him to seize that opportunity. It's just with GVR dealing with his the birth of a child, he's earning valuable reps.
Yeah,
but these athletic limited, kudos to him and his agent for not doing the combine. That probably would have exposed him heavily. And I wonder how far he would have fell if he would have fallen. Maybe people would have excused it, but the lack of quick feet and explosiveness and how it has not translated to the football field. Remember when he was doing box
the box jumps? Yeah, the box. That's the first thing I ever saw of Evan Neal. And then I went and watched his film.
Yeah,
and liked it, and then that didn't work out.
No, it did not. And I hope that he can win because that starting job and GVR can be this swing interior offensive lineman who you could put at center if John Michael Schmitz really ends up struggling or if an injury happens or what have you. but I'm not sold that that's the case. But at least he's earning reps, and the Giants can come to that decision with enough evaluation under the belt with him.
I'd be pretty surprised if Van Roten's not the starter, but like you said, Van Roten is someone who was late to camp last year. He doesn't really need those snaps, where Neal needs as much experience at guard as Paul. I know he did it 1 year at Alabama, but assumedly that he played tackle his entire time at high school. The guy's played 1 year of guard in his entire life. We're not going to do a body armor chugging contest. You enjoy your body armor. Go to food at Giant Stadium.
I don't eat food at Giant Stadium, so
I don't really either. It's kind of like in the parking lot. We just had barbecue. Got to go. Forget Giant Stadium barbecue. H50 Pharaoh. Nick and Bobby make a great show. I think the struggles for Dart is a good thing because he will learn from it. It's better than seeing DJ throw good at practice all the time, but choke on game day. I can I say this? I'm so tired of talking about Daniel Jones. Like, he's gone. He's been gone since last season. I'm focusing on these QBs. I'm not comparing them to Daniel Jones. But again, I don't think Dart has really struggled since those first few days. Binghamton slander, excited for the season. All right, let's get into thank you, Joshua. Appreciate that. Let's get some questions and then we'll roll. Again, today I'm a little discombobulated, but it is what it is. Let's see. I keep hearing from Belton, but how is Javon Holland doing? So I think these safeties are. I've noticed Tyler Newman fit in the run really well.
Yes.
Holland has made a play here and there. I think they're a little bit punished in a practice setting playing against Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson really just does not throw the middle of the field like at all. It is extremely sideline oriented to check down. And it's like anytime there's a throw over the middle, it is very surprising. Like he hit Theo on like a 10-yard in today. And I was like, oh, wow, that's the first time we've seen that in a while. So
we saw a few Theo screens.
Yeah, they like to get him the quick passes, but there's that. So it's just and in a training camp practice, it's just hard to watch the safeties. It's just like your eyes go everywhere else but the safeties. But when they make plays, they make plays. Let's see. Darius Alexander. No, I mean, I think Alexander. I mean, he hasn't been good, but again, early, and he didn't really have an OTA. So hopefully that's a valid excuse, and he turns into a good player.
We got one right here. Will Bo Collins make the 53? Let's expand this. How many roster spots at the back end of the wide receiver position do you think are actually up for grabs, if there are any?
Well, there's 5 guys who are a complete lock. Your 3 starters, Jalen Hyatt and Amir Smith-Marset. Marsette's making the team as the returner, and they've been using him as their backup slot. I do think Collins can make it as like that, taking Bryce Ford Wheaton's spot. I mean, hell, they even put him out there for a press conference yesterday. He's gotten a first team rep here or there. And I would assume he has like special teams value, just kind of going off his skill set, from watching him at Notre Dame. Now at the same time, he can go to the practice squad and there's no fear of anybody claiming him. We always do that with UDFAs that do well, but I would almost like to go back and look at how many UDFAs get claimed off of waiver day after cutdowns. But I mean, I do think they really like him, and he may even be first guy up after Hyatt. He may be their wide receiver 5, even though Smith-Marset is technically that.
It's a different skill set too, different size, and that's something I think the Giants have been trying to locate.
Yeah,
bigger bodied wide receiver.
Right.
I saw like they've been mixing in. Cambry received some first team reps a few practices ago, and it was more of like a walkthrough type of period. Montreal Washington today with Wandale back received a couple first team reps at the end of practice. So
yeah,
it's an interesting battle just to watch. And I think the
Giants
like
to sprinkle them in too.
I think the Giants have just been doing that though as well for offense and defense. I think I saw Marcus Bowe out there for one of those first team reps at the end of practice.
Oh, that's what I noticed today, is because they've been having so many penalties in this practice that if a guy has a false start, Dable yanked him. Yes. Dable yanked Hudson for Marcus Bowe today, which I think Marcus Bowe should be able to compete with Hudson for that swing tackle job. So that was it. Like, I'm glad to see Dable taking, action on that. Hopefully it fixes it. Do you see 4 tight ends and 1 less wide receiver? I don't know. I think they might keep 4 because they don't want to cut a draft pick in Fedoni.
Yeah, same here.
All right, we're gonna go. We're gonna go. Today's a little not as the same as other days. Nick, appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, man.
Again, go follow. I'm gonna put his link in the chat again. There's his YouTube.
Yeah.
And then let's put his Twitter.
Follow the writing at Big Blue View. Big Blue Banter is the podcast. Myself and Dan Schneier, and at Nick Falato. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it, dude.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it, especially on such short notice. We will start talk soon. And I'm not even looking at the likes. You guys get the burnouts. Until then, let's go Big Blue.